Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jambo. Bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We're even available on Audible. Our guest today is Yobe Qiu. She'll be here to celebrate moon pies in her beautiful book, Our Moon Festival. I have a feeling that you are going to absolutely love meeting Yobe. I know I did, and I'm really excited because I offered Yobe and her preschool a free performance of my educational magic show. I would love to make the same offer to you and your community. I know that there's a good chance that you are not a teacher in a classroom, that you're not the principal of your kid's school, that you're not the youth minister at your church, you're not the children's librarian, but you know those people. And you can let them know that I am offering a limited number of schools, libraries, preschools, daycares, a free virtual performance of my educational magic show, We Will Roar, Respect Others and Read. All you need to do is go to our website, wewillroar.com. Find out about the show. Send us an email via our contact button at the bottom of the page. We'll set it all up. I can't wait to meet the kids in your community. Joining us on the line right now from New York City in New York. We're here to celebrate the Lunar New Year. In fact, the name of the book we're going to be focusing on is Our Moon Festival. Please welcome to the show Yobe Qiu. Yobe, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the show here. We love celebrating diversity in kids' books, and I want to talk about your book, and I want to talk about the diverse communities that you're introducing in the book. But first, you're a preschool teacher, and you own you founded a number of different after-school programs in preschools. Could you talk a little bit about, I understand, I think most people get that it's important for kids to see themselves represented on the pages of books. That makes sense to us. But one of the things that I really believe strongly in is that it is really important for the majority of kids to see their brothers and sisters from different races and cultures represented positively on the page of the books. Is that something you agree with? And if you do, why is that so important?
It is so important because I think representation is what's going to help children and adults and grown-ups, everyone learn about each other. I think we can have many conversations, but there are a lot of things we will never just kind of talk about or really briefly touch on. So when you are reading a book, you are focused on that specific topic or story for, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, however long it is to read and discuss a children's book. And during that time, children can ask a ton of wonderful questions. They are curious. They notice things. And all of these natural conversations just come out and you don't know where it takes you. And that's where it's so fun and it opens so many opportunities to talk about different topics. And I love having these conversations with children. And I am a preschool teacher. I am an educator. I went on to open a few private schools in Queens, New York. And I love seeing all of my children represented in books. I make an effort to make sure my libraries are very diverse. For all of our children, we have children who celebrate Hanukkah. We have children who celebrate Christmas. And then we have children who celebrate Kwanzaa. And then we have children who celebrate the New Year and the Lunar New Year. So I want to make sure all of them can see themselves in stories and the way the families celebrate represented in these stories that we read.
Yeah. It's a great way to build understanding. I know when I was growing up almost 100 years ago, if you saw somebody from a different culture, and I remember being curious and asking my mom, and at that time, my mom, my grandma would say, "Oh, don't ask any questions. That would be rude." And I get, oh, okay, but to me, I was being interested. I really wanted to know about the different holidays and about the different foods because I was so curious.
Yeah, I mean, like when I was growing up, we didn't even know what kind of questions we should be asking. We can ask if we're going to offend anyone anyway. And I don't want our children to think that way. Mm-hmm. In our schools, we ask our children to ask any question you want because we want to talk about these topics. It's not, the more you talk about things, the better your understanding is. I remember, when I was younger, people didn't understand why in Lunar New Year, the Chinese community gives money in a red envelope. And that is like, why are you giving young children money? And my classmates, there are times I would get like $100 for like $10 for my grandma, $20 for my mom, $5 for my uncles, and whoever that sees me in the street walking around was like, Happy Lunar New Year, and we get a red envelope. And my friends are like, what? That's so cool. And and because the way it was received so positively from our students and our teachers, we want to talk about it more. We want folks to know about our tradition. We want folks to know about each other's tradition and all the cool things you do in the holidays that you celebrate. And that is just really, really cool for young children to feel a sense of identity, mm-hmm. to be proud, to have a positive image of their own culture and who mm-hmm. they are.
Mm-hmm. There's so much I want to talk to you about, but I don't want to forget this because I think you might be able to help me on this. One of the things that I've heard lately in the media is that to ask somebody where they're from is a trigger and it's offensive. And I get how it could be offensive depending on your, the tone and the way you're asking it and why you're asking it.
I just have a very different take. I have people asking me where I'm from all the time, and I will tell them I'm from Queens, New York. And they're like, no, where are you really from? And I know a lot of people would take offense to it, but I honestly, I think they're just really curious. They want to know because America is so diverse. Everyone looks somewhat different from everyone. Everyone has a cool story to tell. I honestly think, I don't want people to hate me for this, that we are in a period of time where we are really sensitive about where we're from, how we're different. But these are the important topics that we should be talking about. Ask me where I'm from. Ask me where my family's from. I will tell you if they're from Lower East Side, New York, or if they were from Hong Kong, China, or if they're from China, or anywhere, right? We love to know. The more we talk about these, the better it is mm-hmm. for everyone, mm-hmm. because we need that kind of understanding. Of course, you will have folks who will take offense to it because it should not make you feel less American, mm-hmm. or should not make you feel because you immigrated here, you're less something. Mm-hmm. These are really, really important topics to talk about. I'm really glad you asked that question.
I try to ask good ones every once in a while, but it is, any time that I've asked, and I've tried to do it, where's your family originally from? And I know when I'm doing my educational magic shows, if a kid comes up on stage and they tell me, and I hear a name, I'll very often say, I've never met anybody, like tonight, I've never met anybody with the name of Yobe before. And it's beautiful, and I love that. But I know I've been told in the past, oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't make somebody feel like they're different. I'm like, well, we're all kind of different. I'm standing up here in a tie-dye shirt acting like a clown.
I would love to tell you about my name, but I don't know if you have the time.
Absolutely. We have as much time as you want. Yes.
So when I immigrated to the country with my sister. My sister was about 7. I have to be about 5. And when my sister came to the country, one of our aunties, I don't even know who, just kind of decided my sister needed an English name. And she named my sister Susan. My sister hated it. Mm-hmm. And she did not know what to say. Like, I don't want to be Susan, but she stuck with the name forever, Susan. They did not get to name me. So my sister determined to give me a name that you can't find in a dictionary. So she made it up. She made up my name, Yobe. And back a long, long time ago, when we had the big computers, internet just became a thing. I'm not that old, but I kind of am that old. Internet just became a thing. I was searching my name, and when Google first came out, I was searching Yobe, and there was no one with this name Yobe. And my sister was so happy, but I didn't like it because they didn't know how to spell it, they didn't know what to say it. I never liked it. And then it was a country in Africa. Isn't that interesting? It's a country in Africa that came up in Google. When Facebook became popular, I started searching for my name, Yobe, to see what's coming up. How does my profile look? And man, you have everyone with Yobe. We have African named Yobe. We have Chinese people named Yobe. We have Japanese folks with Yobe. And now it's became a very popular name, I would say. But I am the original one.
That's right.
I just want everyone out there to know that I am the original one because I was named 20-something years ago. So that's the story of my name. And it just brings in a lot of culture. As a teacher in Manhattan, I've seen all different kinds of names that I can't pronounce. And it makes me so nervous. But I know how the child will feel because I have a very unique name. And I ask them, do you have a story about your name? That's usually how I start asking a question. Can you tell me who named you? That's usually one of my units in September. Tell me your name, tell me your name, tell me your name. Oh, that's a very cool name. Who named you? And it's a lovely story.
Yeah, beautiful. Can I tell you my name story?
Yes.
So
yes, I'd love to know.
My name is Jed. And when I went to first grade, I was always Jed. I went to first grade, and I had 2 cousins in the class with me, and the teacher went through the list, and did I miss anybody? And I raised my hand. I said, you missed me. And she said, what's your name? And I told her, and she said, no, your name is George. And I said, no, that's my dad's name. And my cousins are going, no, that's Jed. It's Uncle George. And so the teacher said, go home and ask your parents what your name is. And she sent me home right out of class. I was there for about a half an hour, and I walked home, and I said, Mom, they sent me. And she said, yes, I forgot to tell you.
So, okay. So your name is George.
Well, that's it. It went back to Jed. We went back to school, and we said politely, could you please call him Jed? Anyways, Lunar New Year. Let's talk about, for folks who don't know what the Lunar New Year is, what is the Lunar New Year?
The Lunar New Year is the New Year, but people in Asia would use the lunar calendar to kind of determine when is New Year for them. And every year is different. Isn't that so cool? Mm-hmm. It's bizarre at the same time. It's so cool. I never know when it's Lunar New Year, and sometimes I will hope that it's in January, sometimes I hope that it's in February. It just depends on how busy I am. Mm-hmm. Because as a preschool teacher and owner, I don't want it to be in January because I just want a break. The holiday season, October is Halloween, November is Thanksgiving, December, it's an entire month of celebrations. Can you just give me a break and just put Lunar New Year in February sometimes? But it usually falls in between January and February. They follow the lunar calendar. Every year is different. And it's how people who follow the lunar calendar, it's their new year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think people automatically, in fact, I think a lot of people call it Chinese New Year, refer to it as Chinese New Year. And one of the things I don't think people understand is that when we're talking about Asian culture, we really need to speak about Asian cultures because they're so different. There is no one Asian culture. There's many, many different Asian cultures, but yes. Even within China, there are different cultures.
Yes, that. I mean, I'm Chinese. I associate myself more with. I grew up here, so I know more of my American culture than I do of my Chinese, and I had to learn all about it as well. I think I might know a little bit more than what you know about Asian cultures, Jed.
I'm sure you do.
And I started when I went to college and when I became a freshman, I started meeting more Vietnamese. I made more Vietnamese friends. I made more Thai people friends. And I was like, whoa, we are so different. We're so diverse. But most people would know. Most people who are not Asian would kind of assume you're Chinese because I think China or the popular culture, it's just more prevalent about the Chinese culture. And we'll call it the Chinese New Year. And that's what I know it for a very long time as the Chinese New Year until I became a teacher. until I mean, Chinese New Year was taught to me. My teachers call it the Chinese New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Until I became an educator, I became a teacher, I've noticed that I have Vietnamese students. And they also celebrate the Lunar New Year. And I can't possibly tell them it's Chinese New Year and make them feel excluded.
Mm-hmm.
They have a different name, they call it that. But we celebrate on the same day. They also follow the Lunar New Year calendar. And I decided to write a book about all the different ways that Asian cultures, the communities, celebrate the Lunar New Year. And to my surprise, I didn't think it was going to be that hard, because I think we have to be, we got to be very similar, right? How far are we? We're maybe 3 hours by flight. How different can we be? And I had no idea. I spent an entire 6 months researching, and as I'm learning, I'm like, this can't be any more complicated than I had assumed it is. But how can the cultures be so different? But I had a lot of time learning about it. I'm really glad I did the research, and when I presented the book to parents in my school, the students in my school, they really learned something. So that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important. I think it's real important for the Asian kids, the Vietnamese kids, the Japanese kids, the Chinese kids, for them to see that you recognize that their differences in each one of those cultures and celebrations is valid and special and wonderful. And I think it's also real important for the other kids from non-Asian communities to understand that, hey, you just can't throw us into one big lump. We're all individuals, and we all have our cultures, and languages are different. The alphabet is different. The new book, Our Moon Festival. Tell us about this book, and who are we going to meet in this book?
The Moon Festival follows three families, Chinese and someone from a Singapore family visiting the Chinese family, their cousins, and someone from the Vietnamese family who it's a mixed family, because I have a lot of mixed families in my community. And in New York, the father is American and the mother is Vietnamese American, and they take a trip back to Vietnam, Hanoi, because I just came from Hanoi and I fell in love. So I decided to make that the setting of the story. And then it follows a Japanese family. And you will find how the three different families celebrate the holiday in very different ways as well. The activities that they do, the food that they eat, it's completely different, and the experience that they have is very different. So I want to take my readers through this story, the Moon Festival, through three different cultures, and experience how three different cultures experience the holiday. And that's the second part of my Asian holiday series. Mm-hmm. And I just sent it to print yesterday. It took me 60 days to put it together, and I started doing this project when my schools got shut down by coronavirus. I was so busy, running a school, taking care of all the children and families and the teachers. I did not really want to write a second book. I mean, the reason why I wrote a book was because I needed material to teach in my curriculum in my schools. Never really wanted to be a children's book author. Never really thought about being a children's book author. Wrote that first book, Our Lunar New Year, because it was just the right thing to do at that moment. So my teachers would have material to use, resources to use to help our students. And then my schools got shut down. And all of a sudden I have all of these times. And I don't know when we will be able to open. They said phase 2 and then phase 4. And then phase 4, you got to wait. These parents are not coming back. And I have all of these time. And I said, you know what? Let me write another story. And which holiday can I come up with? And I thought, Moon Festival. That's the one that I teach the children. And I started writing. After I wrote the book, I Googled, when is Moon Festival for 2020, because I wanted my book I wanted to launch my book before Moon Festival this year. And then I realized it's October 1st, but I had only started the book in June. So I have about 3 or 4 months to come up with the story, come up with the script, get it edited, find a really great illustrator, fund the book, print the book, ship it here, and then give it to folks and have them have it by October 1st. But that was the story, and I worked on lightning speed, and I had so much fun doing it. And now it's ready. It's going to be on Amazon for free for everyone. For Amazon Kindle, just download the free book next week, September 14th to September 18th. Just get a free copy, and it's on pre-order on my website as well.
Awesome, awesome. Tell us, what's the biggest differences between those three cultures and the way they celebrate the Moon Festival?
The Japanese celebrate the Moon Festival very differently. They aren't really about the lights, the color, the celebration. They really celebrate it in a very peaceful way, with their families in their backyard drinking tea, eating their snack, which is called a dongo, which is not the moon cake. They have very different food that they eat, and they just kind of appreciate the moon in a very peaceful way, reading poems. Whereas the Chinese, we have we have moon cakes to eat. Our families come back to visit, and we tell a story. We have lanterns, we have lights. We go out, we parade around, and then in the Vietnamese families, it's very similar to the Chinese. The Vietnamese celebration style is very similar to the Chinese families. They go out. They also have moon cake. They also have tea. We all kind of appreciate the moon, but we also go out for. It's more for the Vietnamese culture. It's really about the children's festival. That's one of the biggest holidays following their Lunar New Year in Vietnam. The Moon Festival for them is focused on the children. So the children have a lot of fun. They will go out. They will ride around with their lanterns. They will have lion dancing. They will have dragon dances, and they have a ton of time just for the children to kind of parade around and have a ton of fun.
That's
so
wonderful.
that's so different, isn't it? It's very
Yes.
different for all three cultures.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I've never had a moon cake. What does that taste like?
It's hard for me to tell you. You have to have it. I need to send you a box this year.
Okay.
It's been so commercialized. It's so many different tastes. I don't even know how to describe it. Whatever you want to taste like, it will taste like. Now they have red bean paste. They have the savory ones. They have the sweet ones. They have ones that are frozen. They have ones that have chocolate, and some have liquor in them. It's very, very different, but I will send you a box.
That sounds...
So you can try it and tell me which one you like.
Absolutely. That would be wonderful. I'm really excited. I love the themes of your book. I love your mission to get out there and to really celebrate diversity and to bring this message. Wouldn't it be wonderful if the generation of kids that are attending your preschool right now, when they're adults, that the world is a place where this dream of everybody accepting each other becomes a reality?
Yes, I would love that. I would love for everyone just to be nicer to each other, be friends. Can we just be friends? Mm-hmm. You know, we don't have to marry each other, but we can be friends.
Yeah, and if you want to get married, that's okay too.
Yes, so be it. Whatever you like.
You know, I know folks are going to want to find out more about you and about your book. So where can folks go online to connect with you? I
am on Facebook. I'm very big on Facebook. I just started learning Instagram. I'm like one of those dinosaurs. I haven't really figured out Instagram yet, but I have an account on Instagram, and it's just Facebook and Instagram is the same. It's just at by Yobe Qiu. It's BY, like the authors, by, and then my first name, my last name, by Yobe Qiu, and you'll find me. And I will send updates on my books, updates on free giveaway, and my entire author's process.
That is awesome. We've had a great time talking about the Lunar New Year, talking about the Moon Festival, talking about this beautiful, diverse human family that we are all members of with our guest, Yobe Qiu. Yobe, thanks so much for being part of our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Megan Christensen. She'll be here to celebrate her beautiful book, Wally and the Sweet Mountain Candy Factory. That's the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. If you are the author of a wonderful children's book, we would love for you to be a guest on the podcast. Being a guest, it's fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands of people about your fantastic book. All you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You will find a contact button at the bottom of the page. That's actually the hardest part about getting on the show, is scrolling down and finding that contact button. And it's actually pretty easy because it's really obvious, just right there at the bottom of the page. The point is, we'd love to have you on the show. Just let us know about your great book. We'll let you know the next easy steps. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so very, very wonderful. Of course, want to thank Yobe Qiu. Be sure to check out our Moon Festival. Also want to thank my incredible team, starting with my producer, Fatima Khan. I want to thank my awesome author, Ambassador Peggy Cotto. I want to thank my amazing daughter, Alejandra. She is bringing so many great ideas. We're going to be bringing so many new innovations, new logos, new programs here to the show. I can't wait to share them with you. Oh, I absolutely want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank Augie the doggy for having my back here in the studio. But most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very, very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.